Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Comedy of Errors, a play by William Shakespeare. The city of Euphis and Syracuse are enemies. Solinus, the Duke of Euphis, passes a sentence of death on Egan, who is a Syracusean merchant, because he has come to the city. Aegean explains he travelled here on a quest to reunite with his family. And while traveling for trade many years ago, he and his wife had twin boys. The night of their birth, a poor woman in the same inn also had twin boys whom she couldn't afford to care for. So Egan bought them to raise them as servants for his sons. When the family was returning home on a sea voyage, their ship was destroyed in a storm. Egan was swept in one direction with one of each set of twins, and his wife was swept in the other direction with the other two babies. That is, one is their own baby, and the other one is which they had bought so that they will be the servants for their sons. And he has not seen his wife or the other two children after that. And the babies he kept have the same names as their lost brothers. Now, an adult, his son wants to find his lost sibling and his mother. So Egan set out some years ago to search in vain because he was not able to find them. Solinus expresses his sympathy but insists that unless the ransom is paid, Egan will be executed. Oblivious of his father's presence, Antipholus of Syracuse arrives in Ephesus on his travels to find his twin. He sends his servant Romeo of Syracuse to store his money in an inn. Unbeknownst to them, they twins live in Ephesus. Dromio of Ephesus approaches Antipholus and asks him to come home to his wife for dinner. He denies all knowledge of the money, angering and confusing Antipholus. Adriana is upset that her husband Antipholus of Ephesus has not come home. Her sister Luciana argues that she should let him do as he pleases without jealousy in keeping with wifely duty. Dromio of Ephesus reports his conversation with Antipholus in which he denied being married. Adriana feels helpless and neglected. Antipholus of Syracuse meets Dromio of Syracuse in the street, who is, of course, does not remember the conversation he had with the other Dromio, frustrating them both. Adriana and Lucina approach and address them by name. Adriana calls Antipholus her husband, asking him to come home for dinner. She and Luciana chid him for his behavior when he says she is a stranger. Though he is confused, he believes they are sincere and decides to play along. He and Romeo wonder if magic or witches are present. Antipholus of Euphis brings some friends home for dinner, accompanied by Dromio of Ephesus. However, they are barred from entering. Their identical counterparts are already inside but separated by a wall, and no one realizes what is happening. Antipholus of Ephesus is furious. He tells the goldsmith Angelo to bring the gold chain he had ordered for Adriana. To spite her, he plans to give it to the courtesan instead. They depart to dine with her. Inside the house, Antipholus of Syracuse proposes Lucina. Shocked, she reminds him that she is his sister-in-law and leaves. Dromio of Syracuse runs in. He is horrified that one of the kitchen maids has claimed they are married. She seems to know him intimately, but he finds her repulsive. He and Antipholus fear that they are surrounded by magic. Antipholus resolves to flee and sends Dromio to find out which ships depart soon. Outside, Angelo approaches Antipholus and gives him the chain. Later, a merchant comes to collect a debt from Angelo, bringing an officer to arrest him if it's not settled. Angelo says Antipholus owes him the same for the chain, so the three of them go to find him. They find Antipholus of Euphis as he sends Dromio of Euphis off to buy rope, which he plans to use on Adriana and everyone who barred him from home. However, Antipholus of Euphis refuses to pay as he claims he hasn't received the chain. Angelo instructs the officer to arrest him. Dromio of Syracuse enters, reporting that he has found a ship to leave on. Antipholus, furious, says he sent him for a rope. However, he tells him to forget that and go to Adriana's to collect money for his bail. Luciana tells Adriana that Antipholus propositioning her, relaying that it would have been quite convincing if it hadn't been for the terrible circumstances. Adriana is distraught. Dromio of Syracuse runs in. He requests money for Antipholus' bail, revealing that he is in debt for a chain, which Adriana notes she has not received. Distressed, she sends him out with the money. Dromio of Syracuse finds Antipholus of Syracuse in the street, apparently never having been arrested to start with. They both fear sorcery is at play. The courtesan finds them and asks Antipholus for the chain he is wearing. He took her ring earlier, promising her the chain in return. He denies all knowledge of this, and he and Romeo flee from there, convinced she is a witch trying to trick them. The courtesan concludes that Antipholus must have gone mad, but notes that she cannot afford to lose her ring. She decides to tell Andrina that her husband snatched it from her in a fit. Dromio of Ephesus approaches Antipholus of Ephesus, still with the officer. He presents him with a rope, infuriating Antipholus, who was expecting money for bail. Adrina, Lucina, and the courtesan enter with Pinch, a dubious doctor. Adrina asks Pinch to cure her husband, and he begins an exorcism. There is widespread confusion as Adrina and Lucina agreed that they send Romeo with the bail money, which he denies. Pinch says both men are possessed. He has them tied up and taken away to be locked. Antipholus rages at Adrina, thinking she is orchestrating everything to spite him. Adrina assures the officer that she will settle Antipholus' debt. They discuss the change, wondering what has happened. Antipholus of Syracuse and Romeo of Syracuse rush in with their swords drawn. Everyone flees. Antipholus and Romeo then happen upon Angelo and the merchant he owes money. They see the chain around his neck, which he apparently denied receiving earlier, and draw weapons. Adriana and her companions rush in to try to recapture Antipholus and Romeo, but they escape into an abbey. The abbess emerges, refusing to send them out or allow Adriana in. Just then, Solinus and his guards pass by, taking Egan to his execution. Adriana appeals for his support, explaining that her husband has gone mad. Everyone is shocked when Antipholus of Ephesus and Romeo of Ephesus appear as if by magic from another direction. Confusion reigns as everyone has a different version of events. Egan is overjoyed. He says Antipholus will pay his ransom as he is his son. However, Antipholus has never seen him before. The abbess emerges again, bringing out Antipholus of Cyprus and Romeo of Syracuse. She reveals that she is Emilia, Egan's lost wife. Everyone realizes that there have been two sets of twins running about, causing the confusion. Accounts are now settled and Solinus spares Egan's life. Emilia invites everyone in for a celebratory feast, and here ends the story. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.